There's a very specific and quiet kind of grief that often hits us women in this midlife season, especially those of us who have been through really hard stuff like estrangement, divorce, toxic relationships, and maybe even the loss of a loved one. It's that moment when you look around and you realize that everything's a mess and nothing in your life looks like you thought it would. Maybe you thought this season would be about enjoying your adult children and your grandchildren, but instead, you're navigating the pain of family estrangement. Maybe you thought you'd be traveling the world with your partner, but instead, you're rebuilding alone and trying to recover after a divorce or escape the effects of dysfunctional family dynamics or toxic relationships. Or maybe you're just feeling heavy and sad and wondering what's next, like you're carrying decades of family drama that you never asked for. Or maybe you've never even considered that all that stuff that just seems like normal family stuff might actually qualify as emotional abuse, even if it was never intended to be such. If you feel like you've done everything right, but things still turned out wrong, I want you to hear this. You're not crazy, you're not broken, and you're also not done yet. You've still got a lot of life ahead, and we can still turn this stuff around. Most of us have spent 20, 30, maybe even more years building a vision of what we thought our life looked like. We've invested in it. We've worked for it. We became it. And when the family estrangement happened, or the marriage ended in divorce, or everything blew up in those dysfunctional relationships, we didn't just lose one person. Many of us lost our identity as well, because who we are and how we define ourselves often gets tied up in those roles and relationships. And when they're gone, it can leave us feeling a little off kilter, even if it's actually a good thing that those things are gone. I want you to know that it's okay to pause and mourn that phantom life, the one that we dreamed of, the one that we wanted, the one that we thought we would have, or maybe even thought we had. But now that version of life exists only in your head. It's not only okay to grieve that stuff, it's actually necessary. Because we have to grieve that life that we thought we had before we can accept the life that we do have, and then put plans and strategies in place to make it what we want it to be. My guess is you got here quite naturally. If you're like many women that I know, myself included, you're probably a problem solver. You've been that way all your life. And it's easy to think that if you just explain yourself one more time, or send the right text, or say the right things, or apologize for things that you didn't do, or that you don't know why we're such a big deal, that everything's going to go back to normal. But it doesn't work that way. Unfortunately, none of us can fix our way out of the realities that involve other people's choices. And trying to rebuild those old dreams or those old puzzles when the pieces no longer fit is just exhausting. I know a lot of us often think, I can't be happy until my child speaks to me again, or I can't be at peace until my family acknowledges the abuse and what went wrong. But my friend, all that's doing is giving them the keys to your happiness. And I promise the people who broke you aren't the ones who are going to be able to fix you. That's something that has to come from a completely different source. And I know that a lot of you are sitting there going, yeah, I get this. You're sitting there nodding in agreement with me, and you're saying, yeah, I want this. I want to be able to move on. But then you can wake up at 3 a.m. with your chest in knots and ruminating on those same arguments. And this is where most people fail too. They think, I just need more willpower. I just need to be better or stronger, or worse, if I ignore this stuff, it'll just go away. Hope you know by now that's what you've been doing for many years. And I will ask, how has that worked for you? For most of us, that answer is not very well. And there's a reason for that as well, because we can't just snap out of this stuff. And it isn't happening because you're weak or because you're not good enough. You've been through some hard stuff, and it left a mark. And all those loop-de-loops that are going on in your head are actually natural, normal responses to trauma. And again, it's not only okay, but it's necessary to acknowledge that life does look different now than the one that you expected. That's honestly the first step in starting to get through things. I'm going to be talking in the rest of this series about what we do when life didn't turn out as we expected and how we can start moving forward. And I know a lot of you are probably thinking, yeah, but I've tried to move forward. I've done all these things. I've tried to fix this mess. And those toxic patterns keep repeating themselves, and I just feel stuck. Well, again, that stuck feeling isn't a personality flaw. It's not because you're not trying hard enough. It's that old biological response to trauma, and often trauma that didn't even start with you. In the next video of this series, I will be explaining why you feel stuck and why the same problems keep repeating themselves even when you're trying to do everything to prevent them. We're going to start connecting the dots between your past and your present so you can finally break that loop. For now, go ahead and click right up here on that video to learn more, and I'll see you over there.